Hi everyone, and welcome to the Bronx Box Office Review Show. I'm Greg.
And I'm Reese.
And today we're talking about The Conjuring. The Conjuring, to give a little synopsis, is the story of Lorraine and Ed Warren, who were real-life paranormal investigators. That's about as real as the movie gets. And the story follows them when they're called to the farmhouse of a family whose names are Carol and Roger Perrin. They have 5 daughters who are all being haunted, so they're going to investigate. What do you think of the movie?
So I really enjoyed the movie. It was a nice little horror film. I'm not a huge horror buff, but gave me, definitely gave me some jump scares, creeped me out a little bit. But there were definitely some horror movie tropes that were a little cheesy, but I definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah.
What do you think of it?
Yeah, I've seen it before, and like you said, what I remember the most was all like the horror movie tropes and all like the cliches. So going in, I think my expectations were low, but I ended up really enjoying it. Like I thought there was some like legitimately creepy stuff, and the story was like structured really well, so it like built up to the end.
Yeah,
and it really
for sure.
sat at like the final scene, which I won't talk about yet. I thought was like a really great payoff. But yeah. Other than that, I thought there were some great performances too, especially from the kids. I know Joey King, who has gone on to act in a bunch of other stuff. She was the little girl who is in the bedroom and she sees the ghost behind the door.
Yeah,
she was
yeah,
really
she
good.
Was in, what was that one? Ramona and Beezus, if anyone knows that. Ramona and
right.
Beezus. I just want to say the main dad. I don't remember his name. What was his name?
His name was Roger.
He was the guy from Office Space. Classic cult movie. Great movie. Just want to say.
I haven't seen Office Space in a minute.
Very good show.
Yeah.
Movie. My bad. But I really enjoyed how there were some like comedic relief segments sparkled in. Like, well, I won't say exactly, but there were definitely some moments when I laughed, and it was a really good break from me getting jump scared, jumping out of my seat, and all of a sudden I'm giggling. So nice relief there.
Yeah, I think a lot of that came in like the characters, because when the plot is starting to ramp up and like we have the policemen and like the paranormal investigators like bring in their crew, they have their camera guy, like they bring some levity and they're cracking jokes.
I like the police officer was a little bit of a goofball. He reminded me of a Hopper from Stranger Things.
Yes, I can see
and
that.
I really liked him in Stranger Things, so it gave me like his vibes, and then also the other coworker to the. I'm so bad with names.
They were Carol and
Ed.
Carol
right?
and Ed.
So
yeah.
like Ed's their coworkers. The other guy was a little bit of a goofball too.
Yeah.
So definitely brightened up the movie a little bit.
And speaking of characters, I thought Ed and Lorraine.
Yeah.
Ed and Lorraine, I thought they were pretty interesting as well, because the movie is based on a true story.
Yeah.
But the only reality in the movie is Ed and Lorraine. They were real paranormal investigators, but this stuff didn't happen. And Annabelle was real. The doll Annabelle was also real, but she didn't look like she does in the movie. But I thought they were interesting characters, and they kind of like they tease a lot, like with their family being involved, at the end, like when that all stuff gets involved.
Yeah, don't want to spoil anything yet, but there was also a big twist with Lorraine that I was not expecting. I know there's a little bit of paranormal activity with herself.
Yes,
but definitely spiced that up too.
Yeah, and overall, like it was refreshing that it wasn't too over the top. Like a lot of modern horror movies like these, like the paranormal stuff, like they go crazy and they're throwing people against walls and they're crying blood.
I think there's only one of those.
There's one scene, people get thrown around. There's some bloody tears, but it wasn't too crazy, and I appreciated that, because I thought it worked better when the haunting isn't believable, but it's like more grounded in reality.
Yeah, it's not as drastic as like It, for example.
Right.
Like a haunted clown haunting a town. It's a little bit more believable for a paranormal movie.
Yeah. To talk about something else, this is something I didn't really like too much about the movie. I feel like a lot of time was dedicated to setting up like future Conjuring universe movies. I don't know how much was planned ahead of time, but like the whole opening scene with Annabelle, like you're kind of expecting a payoff. And
exactly.
They tease it at the end, but it's not a real payoff.
It was like they cut us off early. It really was kind of just thrown in there to like add a couple of minutes of movie time, and it kind of does go along with the story, like with Ed and Lorraine, but there really was no, like Greg said, no real payoff until, you know, the new Annabelle movie comes out.
Right, and there were a couple things like that. That's the biggest thing that stands out. And I thought I like the idea of like these paranormal investigators like living in a larger world filled with this stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But like I just felt like by the end of the movie, I was just kind of like, oh, none of that mattered. None of that really went anywhere.
It kind of gives them like a cartoony persona almost.
Yeah.
Like the Scooby-Doo gang, the mystery machine, everything like that.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of other characters, I thought the family that was being haunted wasn't particularly interesting. What did you think about that?
No, they definitely weren't. The wife was the most interesting because of what happens to her.
Right. Yeah.
But overall, like, everyone was pretty bland. Like, they were just kind of being used, which I get they were just being haunted, but they were just being used as props to, you know, like further the story.
Right. Like the 5 daughters, like, I don't know what kind of agency they could have had over this plot, but like they really were just kind of there to get scared, which isn't an issue, but like I would have liked more to the family.
Yeah, we didn't really get to know any of the characters. Even, you know, during all of the hauntings and everything, we kind of get like brief glimpses into who the characters are, but all we really know is that the oldest one is unhappy and the youngest one is youngest. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, they give us just enough so they're like characters.
Yeah,
and then
but
they get haunted.
There was really nothing else behind them. It was very surface level.
Yep. Any other thoughts on the movie in particular?
Like I said before, not a huge horror buff, so like it was a nice little intro to horror because like I have seen horror movies, but you know, like the really exaggerated ones like It. So this one was more, I wouldn't say laid back because it was, you know, still a horror movie,
right?
But definitely a more believable one, especially when it pops up and says based on a true story.
Yeah, that's something you see in a lot of horror movies now, and it's a good way to like.
But it also says based.
Yeah, it's based on a true story. But yeah, I feel the same way. I thought it was a great way. You know, it's October.
Exactly.
I love watching all these spooky movies around this time, and this was like a really great one to start with. I think.
Yeah. Definitely got me in my Halloween vibes.
Yeah. So
sure.
I feel like I know where you stand, but would you recommend The Conjuring?
Oh yes, I would totally recommend The Conjuring to anybody who, whether you like horror movies, don't like horror movies, like Halloween, don't like Halloween, watch the movie. Would you recommend this?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great movie to watch during this season. It's not too over the top. I wasn't too horrified. Maybe I'm desensitized from a lot of horror movies, but it was tense. There was a lot of good tension, and it was fun to watch.
So, huge spoiler alert. I'm just going to say it outright.
Go for it.
The wife gets possessed, and I thought that scene was very interesting because it starts out with Lorraine doing some laundry outside. There's a gust of wind, and you see the body, like the towel flies off the hanger, and it hits like something that isn't there, and it's a body,
right.
And then it flies up to the window, and then all of a sudden you see the demon. Like, I don't remember what her name was.
The demon had a name.
Yeah,
or something.
But you see the demon in the window, and then it's the room that I'm. Again, so bad with names. Who's the wife? I'll just call her the wife. Carol? Carol. I think it was Carol. And it's the demon is in Carol's room.
Yeah.
And then Lorraine goes up there and she asks, you know, if Carol's all right. And then Carol's like, yeah, I'm okay. I hear the kids outside. And in reality, it's the demon.
That was a really tense
scene. And then that's when the movie like kind of picks up.
Yeah. Once the possession hits and like that's when stuff gets great. Like I thought like the exorcism scene at the end was like, it was cool. Like the twist with Ed having to perform the exorcism, because like the way exorcisms work is like they're a real procedure, but you have to like get the blessing of the Pope to do it or something.
Like in the Vatican.
Yeah, and they had the scenes with a priest, and they were trying to get approval for the exorcism, but eventually like they're there, and the demon's freaking out, and Ed's like,
happens right in the moment.
I gotta do it. I'm gonna do the exorcism, and it's like really tense. And I thought that was cool, and it wasn't like a huge surprise because like at that point there was really nothing else for him to do but do the exorcism. But I still think it was cool.
When the husband was trying to stop him because Carol's like, it's in reality it's the demon, but it's still her body, and she's like, so Carol's yelling, but it's also the demon still like in her, so they're trying to get the demon out, but Carol's getting hurt. So then the husband tries to step in, and then Lorraine steps in. The whole scene's really intense, and then
Yeah, and they go into they're in the crawl space.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, because the demon is trying to kill the youngest daughter through Carol's body. So that's why the whole end is very intense, but it ends up they perform the exorcism. Ed's a G, really saves the day.
Yep.
And no one really steps in. Well, actually, everyone steps in.
Yeah, it's like a team effort.
Yeah,
they all exorcise the demon.
And then the guy is like poking. Oh, I wish I knew the names. I really wish I knew the names. I did watch the movie.
Right.
But he's like poking through the floorboards trying to save the little girl.
Oh yeah, he hears her in the floor and he's like breaking through it. Yeah.
And then when he yells that she's in the basement, that's when the demon, like through Carol's body, crawls through the crawl space, finds a daughter, is about to kill her, and then last minute Ed just starts yelling out the Latin, exorcism procedure, and saves her, and then last little fight the demon has left, and then all of a sudden Carol pukes out the demon.
I know, that was gross.
Yeah.
And speaking of effects and speaking of like how gross that looked, like I thought the demon possession looked really cool.
Yeah.
Because like we're talking about how we've been desensitized by all these paranormal movies, and we appreciated this because it was more grounded. And I think like the demon makeup like is really a symbol of that.
Like the scene where she's actually getting possessed, or there was another scene as well, but the scene where she's actually getting possessed when it's the camera like tilts over and then all of a sudden it's a demon's face and then she possesses Carol.
Yeah.
It wasn't like scary because you know it's gonna happen, but it's really disgusting.
Yeah, and it was done like really simple. Like it's not like CGI and there's not like particle effects and smoke everywhere. It's like this old lady in makeup and she has red contacts, and the scene during the exorcism where like the towel's ripped and you see like half her face and it's just like super creepy visual, and I thought that was so fun.
Definitely that definitely got under my skin a little bit.
Yeah,
because I'm not a big like grotesque person, honestly. Like I don't mind the gore, but if I could avoid it, I would have.
Yeah.
But
and this isn't a bad movie for that. It's not too
it's really not too gory at all. There's like that one scene, and it's not even gory. It's just a little disgusting.
It's just a little gross. All right. Have anything else to say about The Conjuring?
I was just gonna, my final statement was the people are very bold. The one scene where Lorraine crawls in like that one crawl space through the closet, and she starts pulling the rope. Yeah. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, they were bold.
And then when she falls down into the basement, and there's like a little I called it like the Jack in the Box, but it's not that.
It was like a Jack in the Box. It had a mirror in it.
But there's a different name for it. But the thing you wind up and it plays music, and it has a mirror.
It was like a music box. Like,
music box, yes. Yep.
That's the word.
Yep. So she's holding the music box, and through the music box you can see the demons and stuff.
Yeah, that was cool.
And she's holding a flashlight behind her, winding it up, like looking for the demons. Like, how could you ever do that? And I know it's her job, but what's?
I like that they brought that back at the end too. Like the final shot was like the mirror, and it was spinning, and then cut to black.
Yeah,
and
yeah, that's
like again, like I was expecting like a jump scare because it's the end of the movie,
especially since Annabelle's actually in that room, so you think it's gonna go back to Annabelle,
but it didn't. Which I appreciated, just kind of like ending and like finishing the story, despite what I didn't like with it, like branching out and trying to set up a horror universe.
Yeah,
that
like
just
setting
distracted.
up new movies when we're not even 5 minutes into the
right.
Like literally the first scene.
The first scene is a trailer for another movie.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? But yeah, that's the Conjuring. Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it as
Heavily recommend it. Heavily recommend it, guys.
Yep.
Everyone out there, watch The Conjuring. It's on Netflix. We forgot to say that.
Yes.
It's on Netflix.
Stream it on Netflix. It's great. It's perfect time of year to watch this movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that was our review of The Conjuring. We both really liked it and would recommend it. Thanks for watching the Bronx Box Office Review Show, and we hope to see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Trending Now segment. Today, we're going to be talking about Squid Game. Squid Game is a TV series on Netflix, basically about, it's this game show, or not a game show. The premise is all these characters who are really either in debt or really poor are kind of offered to participate in this game to make money that they desperately need. And then it kind of evolves from there, to say the least.
Escalates.
So yeah. So what do you think? Do you think Squid Game deserves the hype that we've been seeing?
Yeah, I definitely think Squid Game deserves the hype. It gives me major Hunger Games vibes.
Okay.
I've been hearing that a lot, but
Yeah.
also just from watching the first episode myself, definitely deserves the hype. A lot of action. It's a slow build up, but a lot of action towards the end of the first episode. Definitely worth a watch.
Yeah,
there.
the slow build up worked. Like the first episode feels like a movie. Like
It does.
It's like you get
There's
the first,
so many.
the whole thing. It just feels like the first episode is like a solid movie. So if you're interested in watching it, just watch the first episode. You don't have to keep going. Like you can just watch that and stop there. But I'm gonna keep watching. I know that much because it's crazy.
Yeah, there's a really good slow build up with the characters. You really get to know. So bad with names again, and also it's
Let's
in
say
Korean.
the protagonist.
Yeah, so the protagonist has a daughter, and he lives with his mother. He's divorced, so he doesn't see his daughter that often, and he's in some heavy debt.
Yeah.
So you really get to empathize for him, but you're also kind of not on his side because of what he does with, his free time and like with the money he does make.
Right. Yeah, he's a complicated character, but like you really get a good sense of like how desperate he is because he's like
you just
doing
feel
some
bad
stuff.
for him.
Yeah, you feel bad for him, and like so when he's in the game, come the end of the episode, you're rooting for him, and we won't give away too much about the game, but there's a really cool social aspect to it. Like we mentioned the Hunger Games, but this isn't set in like a dystopian world. It is set, at least as far as I can tell from the first episode, it's set in the real world, and it's really about these people like struggling financially, like how desperate they've become.
Yeah.
And you get a cool over-the-top Korean television show from it,
Yeah. And I like how there's a couple of characters that he ends up like you meet them earlier in the episode, and then they actually end up being in the games with the protagonist.
Yeah.
And one of them he actually grew up with, and he thinks he's super accomplished, and then all of a sudden he's sitting next to him fighting for his life too.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
There's a lot of cool stuff like that. A lot of cool
Of
setups.
callbacks.
There's a lot of like setups that are paid off in the first episode,
Yeah,
but also
yeah.
there's like room for those to grow and like
Exactly, yeah.
like you can see like there's probably what are there like 10, 15 episodes of this, something like that.
I think 9.
Nine
But still,
episodes?
still.
Yeah, 9 episodes. Like you can definitely see like how it could go that far. There's a lot to go. Anything else on Squid Game?
Also, another thing I look at, I try to look for in like film and TV is comedic relief, and there's also a lot of that.
Yeah. It's not too dour. It's
Yeah. Like there's definitely some funny moments, and again, that really brightens it up because you get like these really depressing, like heavy moments throughout the show, and then all of a sudden, some like the guy's gifting his daughter a gun.
Right. Yeah.
Like
yeah,
a
but
fake
it's a
gun.
lighter. It's fake.
Yeah, and he doesn't even know. Like he wins it in a crane game.
Right,
Gifts it to her, and when she opens it, he's like, "Oh my God, what did I just do?"
That was a good scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of like variety in the tone, which keeps it interesting, and it's like really stylistic too. Like it's visually interesting to watch.
Yeah.
And I saw. Yeah, go ahead.
No, there were a few flashbacks too that really like also emphasized the characters and stuff like that.
Yeah, I heard all about Squid Game on Twitter. It was all over my feed for like the first week it was out, and I didn't buy into the hype right away, but I'm glad I watched it. I definitely recommend anyone else to give it a shot. What about you?
Yeah, for sure. I heard about it actually on TikTok, not Twitter. I'm not much of a Twitter guy, but TikTok definitely my thing. By all over my For You page and my following page, so definitely worth a watch. Me and Greg heavily enjoyed the show. The first episode at least. I haven't followed up. I haven't seen episode 2 yet, but episode 1, gotta check it out.
We'll get to episode 2.
Yes,
I'm
eventually.
sure. Well, thanks for watching our Trending Now segment. We definitely both recommend Squid Game. It's also on Netflix, so go ahead and give it a shot. Thanks for watching.